Traditional versus Roth IRAs. The great debate, which one is better? Let's get into this. We got a detailed overview right here. Going to get you the ins and outs of each one and ultimately come to the conclusion for yourself which one's better for you. So here we go. Roth or traditional IRAs from some random guy on YouTube. Disclaimer. As always, I am not a licensed professional, at least in the finance world, and this video is for entertainment just only, blah, blah, blah. Let's just learn about IRAs already. It's all educational. Alright, these characteristics apply to both. In 2017, a $5,500 maximum, and you can contribute that amount up through April 2018. It's not just that it has to be contributed in 2017. You can contribute up to April, up to basically tax filing day of the next year. If you're under 50, and then an extra $1,000 if you're over 50, called a catch-up contribution. Between January and April, you can contribute to either or both, but you have to be very specific. This is very important. If you made your contribution for 2017 already, and you're going to make a contribution in April 2018, say you go to a bank and you open a CD, many banks will think you're making a contribution for 2017, not 2018. So you have to be very specific. One year, the bank actually, I had made my contribution in the year. I always make my contributions in January of the year it applies to. They thought I was making it for the prior year, so I would have actually been doubled up. Instead of 5.5 thousand, it would have been 11,000. Which, if you go over that limit, you're going to be paying some serious penalties on that. So make sure you stay within that 5.5 per year, and make sure you're very specific when you're opening up an IRA of what year you're actually contributing for. Bullet point number 3: limit increases in $500 intervals based on an inflation index. As you see, there has not been an increase from the current 5.5 thousand per year since 2013. It's been a while. Obviously, within that, we've had some tough financial times. There's speculation based on the numbers, based on the inflation rates, that the actual next increase will not be in 2018. It's projected to stay the same at this point. We'll know. They actually come out with the number in about October, so we'll know fairly shortly. But it's assumed that it's going to stay at 5.5 thousand. And then in 2019, it'll be raised to 6,000 if you're under 50, and then 7,000 if you're over. Many investment options. Like we said in the previous video, when we did the overview of how to save for retirement, Roth IRAs in general are very good options for saving, because you do have so many options. And really, you'll see here, there's very few things you cannot invest in. Now, make sure you do your due diligence here, and if you want to invest in something that's outside of the norm, say a stock, bond, CD, make sure it's not restricted, but just high level. You can't lend money to yourself. You can't use your IRA as a collateral for a loan or to buy a personal house. But anything associated with businesses, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all that kind of stuff applies, and which gives you so many options, and you can really avoid paying high fees that way because you have so many options. You can get a little speculative. I wouldn't advise getting too speculative on retirement money. Save that for your fund money, but that is out there for you. Roth IRA pros. Here we go. There's no required minimum distribution. So as you'll see with traditional IRAs, there are required minimum distributions. Now, think of this in terms of the government wants their money, right? So with a Roth IRA, when we get down to point number 4, you don't pay any tax on your withdrawal, because I'm going to jump all around right now. You don't pay any tax on your withdrawal, as seen in point number 4, which is a potential for massive earnings over a long period of time. The downside, as we jump ahead a little bit, is that there's no tax deduction in the year of contribution. So think about it again in terms of, you're not taking the deduction now, you're essentially paying the government. If you're not taking a deduction of $5,500, so that is staying in your taxable income. So the government is getting their tax now. So now they really don't care when you take the money out, or really, what you do from here on out, because they've already gotten their tax money. Whereas on the traditional side, you'll see, since you are taking the deduction now, the government, basically, you owe them tax money, and they want to get that as soon as possible in your, so that's why they do require minimum distributions in, and we'll talk about that. Second point, contributions past age 70 and a half to the extent of earned income. And that's very important too. You must have the 5.5 thousand limit, under 50. The actual limit is to the extent of earned income. Now basically earned income is anything that's not passive. So it's not dividends, it's not interest. Anything that you work for. It could be YouTube revenue, it could be a little side job you have, it could just be your regular job. That all counts towards earned income, but you have to have at least $5,500 of earned income and to be able to contribute that much. But so with this, you contribute past age 70 and a half to the extent of your earned income, because again, we're paying the tax right away, so the government isn't going to come looking for their money. Feel free. Point number 3, you can withdraw after age 59 and a half as long as you've had the contribution for 5 years. You don't have to though, because like we said, there's no required minimum distribution, so you can really just let that money grow. You've already paid the tax, so now it's just going to grow tax-free. That's very powerful, especially over time. If you could start early, that's extremely powerful. We talked about no tax paid. Jump to number 5, qualified distributions, tax and penalty free. Tax and penalty free. There are situations that need to apply for this to occur. But just know that this is an option if you did run into financial trouble, medical trouble. There are these distributions options out there if you do get in those situations. And the great thing about IRAs in general, this should be a general item, but they are protected in bankruptcy. Funny enough, student loan debt is not. So that just goes to show you, if you want to retire, the government's got your back. If you want to take out student loans and go to school, good luck. You're on your own to pay those back. So those are the pros of the IRAs, Roth IRAs. Now let's get into the cons. Like we said, it's all about taxes, right? So since we're not paying taxes when we withdraw the money, we're not allowed to take a deduction in the year contribution. There is an earned income limit also phased out. Now it's pretty high. Don't get me wrong here. Phased out starting at $118,000. MAGI is modified adjusted gross income, which you'll see in that next bullet point. If you look at your 1040, your tax return, that's line 37. Line 37 is your AGI, your adjusted gross income. There are a couple deductions that you have to add back to get to your modified gross income. I'll put a link in the description if you want to get into that much detail and check it out. But really, just a high level on the earned income limit. It's not going to apply to most people, so it really doesn't come into play a lot, but there is a limit if you happen to be one of those high earners. Another con is Bernie Madoff, and he's a jerk. Get it? Con? Traditional IRAs, pros. Like we said, it's all about taxes. On the traditional side, you're getting your deduction right now. So if you're in a high tax bracket now, this might be beneficial for you. Now, it's hard to predict what taxes are going to be in the future. You can maybe to a more certain extent predict what your goals are for how long you want to work, if you want to retire early, if you're going to be working your entire life. It's hard to predict the actual tax rate side, but to an extent you can predict the tax income side, your taxable income side. There's no restrictions on earned income, but limits on earned income for the deductions. Like we said, you can contribute up to having your contribution is tax deductible. You can contribute if you earn any amount, but to actually get the tax deduction, there are limitations on how much you can earn. Again, they're pretty high. I don't have them in here. I can put the link in below. They are pretty high. Essentially, in this situation, if you do not qualify for a deduction, but you still want to contribute, it essentially turns into a Roth IRA. So now you can be over the threshold for contributing to a Roth IRA. You can contribute to a traditional IRA, be called a non-deductible traditional IRA, which in essence is a Roth IRA. So this is a way to actually contribute through inadvertently or through the back door to an IRA. And then rollovers. So if you start early and you are planning on retiring early, or your income will fluctuate, there are ways, especially in the early retirement community, where you can kind of be creative, within tax laws, but be creative and roll over the money from a traditional, contribute it as a traditional, take the deduction, and then in a year where your income is going to be lower and you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, go ahead and do a rollover. You'll then pay tax at the lower rate, and then your money will be classified as a Roth IRA going forward, and you won't pay tax ever again on it. So it does give you some flexibility. Cons of a traditional IRA. Again, with the Roth IRA, we're not taking the deduction now, therefore we get taxed on it right away, therefore we don't get taxed when we withdraw it. Traditional is essentially the opposite. We're taking the deduction now, but the government wants their money. So when you withdraw it, they're going to come get it. Now, the downside of this especially is that if you've been contributing for decades and decades and that money's grown, and hopefully your dividends have been coming in, compounding, the market's been up over the decades, as we've seen in the past 50 years or so, the market has skyrocketed, right? If that trend happened to continue, you would have some serious capital gains. And now, instead of them being tax exempt through the Roth option, they would be taxed through the traditional option. So that is something to consider, especially if your time frame for investing is a lot longer, is decades instead of just a couple years. No contributions allowed past 70 and a half. The government's too afraid you're going to die, and they want their money. And another con, the OG, Charles Ponzi, infamously known for the Ponzi scheme. That man was a con artist. Moving on, ways to proceed. All right, we gave you the overview. Now what do you do, right? If you're planning on early retirement, right, and you're planning on having it where your income is going to drop significantly before you get to that 70 and a half required minimum distribution age, then maybe the traditional IRA is the way for you. You take the deduction now. When your income goes down, you roll it over to a Roth, and then you potentially pay less tax than you would have by doing a Roth originally, or maybe if your income really plummets, you pay no tax at all. A good guy to check out for that is Go Curry Cracker. Look him up on through the Google and check out his blog, and he has some posts about never paying taxes. So there are ways to do that. It's something that really takes a lot of planning and a lot of income fluctuation, but there are ways to do that, and the traditional IRA, can give you the best of both worlds if you're going that route. The other way to proceed is just go 50-50. There's no restriction to being able to contribute to a Roth and a traditional IRA in the same year, as long as you don't go in total over the established limit. That 5.5 thousand for 2017 for under 50, and 6.5K if you're over 50. As long as you don't go over that limit in total, you can split them up. You can go 50-50, you can go 80-20, you can go 70-30, you can do whatever you want. So that's one way to get a little bit of flexibility. That's personally what I do. I go 50-50. I don't do it within the same year. I just go Roth 1 year, traditional the next year, Roth 1 year, traditional the next. So now I'm building up a base in both traditional and Roth. So then when it comes time, I can decide what I want to withdraw when. So again, some benefits now. Some years I'm going to take a tax deduction. In other years, I'm going to get the tax, the no tax on the withdrawals, right? So I get a little bit of the best of both worlds. I don't have to guess what income tax rates are going to be in the future. That's a big part of this. If you're making the argument for one or the other, at the very basic level, it's what are tax rates going to do in the future? Well, I have no idea. I assume they're going to go up, but I don't know that for sure. So, and I can take that guessing game out of it. I don't have to try to guess what the income tax rates are going to be. I'm building a base in traditional, building a base in Roth, and now I have more flexibility for which to withdraw from when it does get to that time. So I find the 50-50 split for me because I'm not planning early retirement. I don't plan on having extreme income fluctuations. That overall, building up a base in Roth, building up a base in traditional is going to give me the most flexibility down the line. And final thoughts. At the end of the day, which one you pick is not the most important thing. the most important thing is just investing, right? So, whether you do Roth or traditional because you like A benefit or B benefit, it's not going to get you anywhere if you don't start. If you don't just start, you can make your contributions all at once. You can make them periodically throughout the year. The limit is 5.5K if you're under 50, but you can put in $2,000, you can put in $3,000, you can put in $500. So, don't be afraid to just start. You don't necessarily have to make the perfect decision. Just start doing it. Again, both have their benefits. Feel free to figure out which one applies to your life more. If you're planning early retirement with reduced income, then maybe you go the traditional route. If you don't want to worry about the taxes later on, then maybe you go Roth. Or maybe if you don't know or you just want some more flexibility, you split them. And then finally, any bank or brokerage firm can help you open an IRA. If you go in, most people should be extremely helpful and willing to get you going there. Again, be very careful about what year you're contributing to, especially if you've been contributing for multiple years and you've already contributed, say for 2017, and you walk in January 2018 because you weren't going to jump on it. Most bankers or most brokerage firms don't expect you to walk in January and try to contribute for that current year. They're expecting you to contribute for the prior year. So really make sure that you're very, very careful with that and you get that all documented and double check, because you don't want to be paying those penalties. If they do make a mistake, you have until April 15th to take that to fix that mistake. So don't panic if there's a mistake, but make sure you get it fixed right away. Call the brokerage firm or the bank and have them walk you through how to fix it. And really, it will be them fixing it. But you do have time if they do make a mistake, but make sure you get that fixed. Or if you need any help, shoot me a comment, put it underneath the video, and I'll be more than willing to help you out and kind of give you some more guidance as to how to get this going. So again, anybody who's been following Dividends for Hope and helping out, I appreciate it. Stay tuned. We're going to do big things here. Let's change the world. All right, thanks again. Like this video, subscribe. Welcome to the community. Let's enjoy our ride.